when the doctors came, when the ambulance picked me up and they took me to hospital, the doctors told my mum that I had a 3% chance of surviving. My mum didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to feel. She was panicking. She didn't know what to do, so she rang my sister. She told my sister's panicking. Everyone's really worried. They all think I'm going to die because they told her to expect the worst. If I'd have died, I would have never have seen that picture of the green grass, the fields, the trees. I wouldn't have seen my family again. I wouldn't have seen my friends. And all of a sudden I started to get like this sense that there's something more. There's something more for me. I didn't die for a reason. There must be a plan. There must be a reason for me why I didn't die.
The world can often seem like it is in despair. Crazy stuff goes on, and most of the time we just walk on by. I wonder whether faith is something that people can really have when everything around them is in such chaos. Does the world need hope? What is faith? This is a film about different people who have found faith, people whose lives have been turned around and have developed a faith in something.
Obviously we're all aware of what's going on around us and in the world today. You know, the economy and the political agenda and everything that's going on in society just screams out despair to me.
I can probably link a lot of the problems in the world back to, really it's about the heart of an individual, and where the heart of an individual or a group of individuals or even a nation has greed, has selfishness, has hate in their heart, then that's going to manifest itself in lots of inequality, lots of injustice, at the extreme end in war and deprivation for its people. What is the answer to that, you know, and where is hope? Because when you look around, when you hear what's in the media, when you look at what's in the media, it's just very negative and very bad press, and there doesn't seem to be a message of hope.
When I left high school in South Africa, I started mixing with the wrong sort of people, and yeah, I just started taking drugs. The club scene was very big out there. It was raving quite hard, and it just all came to a head on one New Year's night, and I got into trouble with the police. I was handing some ecstasy tablets to a friend of mine. It looked like I was dealing. There were undercover police in the club, and they caught me, and I had to be put in prison just for a couple nights. But phoning my folks to get me out of prison, that's not the best place to be. You know, on New Year's Day, phoning your mum up to come and bail you out of prison. What happened was I needed to just get away from the sort of friends I was hanging out with, because I was still tempted to go out and party. You know, I was addicted to the drugs. I was addicted to the social life. You know, I was finding a sense of acceptance among those friends. I soon got itchy feet and decided to come down to Manchester, where the club scene was pretty massive, and got a new group of friends in Manchester that I could party hard with, and yeah, I was hitting the clubs most every weekend.
Yeah, Manchester's amazing. You know, it's a big city, and there's just so much life and so many different kinds of people. You know, the nightlife is times a million compared to what I was used to at home. You know, there's like pubs and bars everywhere, cinemas, there's everything really. I just love it. I love the city, and I think I realised that the kind of future I wanted to build was the kind of future you'd do in Manchester, you know.
I would cane it quite hard. I'd be just spending up to 200, 300 quid on a weekend. That's on drugs and booze, and sometimes I'd feel like, right, I need a break, because I'd be going a bit too wild, and I'd try to think, I can't do this forever, I need to sort my life out. So I tried religion, I tried the Hindu religion, read the Bhagavad Gita, tried self-help books, I tried Scientology. I went into the whole Scientology thing for a while. These were all like gaps in between my drug taking, a few months here and a few months there, so I've got to sort myself out, really. But I'd always be attracted back to my mates, the clubs, and yeah, just that's where I got my social life, that's where I got acceptance.
Many people go to church out of a sense of connecting with other people. I think there is a sense that we were never meant to be on our own, and I think everybody in the world gets that. So some people go to a football match or go shopping and they want to be connected to that shared experience. The media generally in the UK does have a certain stereotype of what a Christian is, and it can sometimes be about being a bit irrelevant. I think the church sometimes over the years has been detached from the world, kind of escaped from what's happening, rather than actually being, right at the heart of it and changing that, and being able to emphasise what we're all about and what we're for than what we're against, and actually being as vocal about what we're for and positive about what sometimes we're negative and against. I would say religion is more to do with things that are more set down, and rules and regulations, and something that's external to yourself, that's sometimes maybe even imposed on you. So faith is something more about your heart, it's about values, it's about culture, and that is owned by people themselves, and empowered within that to live that out in the world they live in.
I got in trouble again with the police. I got in trouble for overdosing. I ended up in hospital. I'd taken 18 ecstasy tablets over an 11-hour period. And yeah, word got out. The police searched my hotel room. They came to the hospital. I hadn't even been seen properly yet. And they had me for 11 pills back at the hotel. So they took me and put me in a cell, and I had a mini stroke in the cell. Whole left side went. Then they had to take me back to hospital. And yeah, it was a bit of a mess, really. One night I was in a really low place. I had hardly any money. My health was really bad. Most weekends my kidneys would be shutting down from overdosing on drugs. I was really depressed. Hadn't spoken to my family in years. Our relationship was non-existent with my mother and my father.
There was a point in my life when I was in my early 30s, and I was just so lonely and isolated, and even though I had family around me, and family who loved me, and I knew that I could go to them for help, there was just something inside me that was so, I don't know, so kind of in despair, and because I didn't know what I was doing in my life, and I was actually suicidal. I was contemplating killing myself and just ending everything, because I didn't see any way out of the situation I was in. It was just a daily occurrence of taking drugs, and that's all I thought about. That was my existence. At that point, somebody asked me if I wanted to recommit my life to Jesus, and there was nothing else in my life that was going to help me. There was nothing else in my life that was going to take me out of that situation I was in. So I decided to ask Jesus to come into my life again and help me. And from that point, my life began to change. It wasn't an instantaneous fix. It wasn't something that changed overnight, but there was something inside me that said, I'm desperate. I really need somebody to help me here.
Yeah, I would laugh with my mates at what I was doing, at the way I was living. We'd have a laugh. We'd cheer each other on to take more drugs, to get more drunk, to do stupid things, to sleep with as many people as possible. you know, we'd cheer each other on that, but I would feel ashamed, you know, coming out of the clubs into the daylight at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, and then, you know, spending all my money on that and my health going and feeling depressed. There was no life. I jumped into these convent gardens, stood in front of the statue of Jesus, and I said, I've tried it my own way. I'd tried other religions, other self-help things, and they just weren't working. I said, have your way. Do it your way, Jesus. But like, just give me a sign or something, anything. So started going to King's Church in Manchester, and yeah, my first morning there, I just broke down into tears, and I knew I was home. I knew this is what I was looking for. It was a real community, a family atmosphere.
I don't specifically remember Jay's very first kind of visit to King's Church, but I do remember meeting Jay fairly early on. And when I think about Jay's journey, as it were, and him becoming involved amongst us as a community, I think one of the clearest kind of areas for me where he's experienced change and transformation in his life would be just in his own identity, in his sense of security. If someone's not a part of a church themselves, or they've not kind of visited and been a part of a church, I think very often their impression will be of kind of hymns and stained glass windows, pews. A lot of that's reinforced by what they see on television or in films, and very often the moments they see on television or films would be like the wedding scenes or funerals. Maybe that's what they themselves have experienced. They've been along to a wedding or a funeral. So many people, for example, when they come and visit us, would say that it's really different to what they were expecting. That actually it wasn't all stand up, sit down, and kind of going through the motions. What we're going after is relationship. We're going after a relationship with God, and we're going after a relationship with one another. So we're trying to create space for that. We're trying to encounter something of God's presence.
We really see church as a family, and we really want to emphasise that, even though, as I said before, we're a church of 600 plus people when we gather on a Sunday, we want to see that as a family, a big family of very diverse people, but all gathering together because of our faith and our love for Jesus. So yeah, we want to see church as a family, and to break that stereotype that it isn't a building, isn't just a meeting you go to, it's not just an institution you're part of, it's a family, it's a community with real lives, living in a real world, you know, facing a lot of the same challenges that a lot of people face, and with their children, with work, with finances, but having that faith in Jesus, that belief and that trust in God that helps them through life each day.
I think people meet God in all kinds of different ways. I think it's okay for people to want to encounter God if they're going to put their hope and their trust in Him.
In 2004, I fell from a balcony. The balcony was 18 foot, and I landed on my head, and I shattered every bone in my face. So my nose was came off my face and they found it in my cheek. My jaw came away from my face. My eye sockets they shattered and went in. My cheekbones were shattered as well. When the doctors came, when the ambulance picked me up and they took me to hospital, the doctors told my mum that I had a 3% chance of surviving, which was not a very nice thing to hear. So that was difficult for my mum to hear that. So yeah, they had to do an operation on me. The operation lasted 14 hours, and they had to cut me from ear to ear, so I have a scar going across my head. They had to peel my skin forwards and rebuild my whole face. I have 16 metal plates, metal clips in and around my face, holding the bones together. And after the operation, after I had healed and come around after the operation, I was sat in the hospital bed looking out of the window, and I always remember the day. It was a really bright, sunny day, but it was raining at the same time, and there was a field, and I could just see on the grass was really green, the trees were really green, the sky was really blue, but it was raining at the same time, and I just thought, wow, that just looks amazing, absolutely amazing. And I started thinking, you know, if I'd have died, I would have never have seen that picture of the green grass, the fields, the trees. I wouldn't have seen my family again, I wouldn't have seen my friends. And all of a sudden I started to get like this sense that there's something more. There's something more for me. I didn't die for a reason. There must be a plan, there must be a reason for me why I didn't die. And I started to think, you know, there must be a God. And so I told my mum this, and I said, I just feel like I want to go to church and just say thank you. I've never been to church before. None of my family are Christians. None of my friends have been to church, so I didn't know what I had to do or where to go. While I was there, one of the guys there was reading from Jeremiah 29, verse 11, where it says, I know the plans I have for you. Plans for good, not for disaster. Plans for a future and a hope. And when he said, I know the plans I have for you, I started to shake. You know, my hand started shaking. I felt pins and needles all over my body, from my head all the way down to my feet. It was an amazing sense. It wasn't like a feel, it was like a sensation that I felt, like this feeling of goosebumps all over my body, and this feeling that there is something more for me, something better for me. There is a plan for my life.
So it is possible for people to develop a faith in something. Lots of people find faith in God, but some people find it in other things. We might have faith in friends and family, in a sports team, or in something more spiritual. However we look at it, we can conclude that although the world can often seem hopeless and in desperation, it is possible for people to keep believing for something more. Something beyond what we are currently experiencing, and something that offers us hope.
I believe that the message of hope is faith in God. It's a faith in a person who existed and a person who still exists today and is real. Whatever life throws at you, whatever circumstances come against you, there is a person that is your rock, and that can be your rock, and who you can trust in and depend on.
To say that the world needs faith is like interesting. You know, I love people that give their lives for something. I don't like half-hearted people. So people that have faith in what they're doing are good, but for me, faith is all about this one person. So, like, I'm not by nature a religious person, I'm not by nature a special person or some super faith guy. I've just met Jesus.
While faith can, in one sense, feel vulnerable and can in some senses feel, you know, like challenging to, can I really step out in that direction? Can I really put my hope? Can I really put my trust? Can I really put my faith in that? I think actually faith will move us into more security. So faith enables us to trust beyond that which I have immediate answers for. And that, I guess, has sometimes led people to accuse Christians and people of faith in general as just wanting some kind of security blanket, of just wanting, you know, to make themselves feel better about the challenges of life. Of course, from our perspective, the nature of faith being about a growing certainty is actually we are convinced that what we're putting our faith in is true.
I really believe that a faith, and for me a faith in Jesus, deals with that condition. It deals with our heart. It deals with the problem of actually the world isn't supposed to revolve around me. It's not about what I want when I want it. It's actually about me having a faith in, for me, Jesus, and that gives me a value system and a way of navigating in the world that helps others, that serves others, that looks to be part of the solution, not the problem. And actually my needs don't come first anymore, and I want to see those who are poor, those who are deprived, I want to see their lives change.
I believe that faith is is you have faith in things that you can't see. So I've not seen God or Jesus, but I do believe in them. I believe it's having a belief in something that you can't see or physically touch.
And in the same way, I think it's perfectly legitimate and right to explore, well, why do I believe what I believe? And does it stand up to challenge and to testing?
Faith is a surety of what's going to happen in the future, and it's a certainty in your heart that everything's going to work out.